Good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening, wherever you are in the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, east, west, equator, wherever you are. Um, it's AJ here, and I'm back with another episode to continue where we left off with our disruptive innovation. And today, I just want to take you through a bit of my journey, where I started, where I come from, uh, where I was born, just to give you a track of the type and the kind of person I am, and I sort of invite you into my part of my personal life, just to understand and interact with me with understanding of who I am and where I come from. So, I was born and bred in a place called, I was born in a place called Mandaksu, and I was brought up in a neighboring place from Mandaksu called Trikop. These places are very close to each other, about 5-7 kilometers apart, and our nearest town is a town based in the Limpopo province of South Africa called Begersfort. And um, our closest city from Begersfort is a city of Polokwane. Polokwane is the capital city in the Limpopo province. So I was born and bred there. I went to my primary school in a school called Vonwangwe. Vonwangwe. Vonwangwe means it's a river where crocodiles quench their thirst from, so they drink from that river. Vonwangwe. I left Vonwangwe at primary school when I was doing standard two, standard three. Standard three, I know in Zimbabwe, they're still using standards and forms. In South Africa, we have migrated from forms to standards to grades. So in South Africa, we are now referring to standards as grade. So this is how they work. Standard three, you just add 2, then you get grade 5. So I left Bunongo Primary School at grade 5. And then I went to Sitlopong Primary School. I started at grade 6. Yeah, grade 4, grade 5. No, I started at grade 5 in Sitlopong. So I left Bunongwe grade 4. Then I started in Sitlopong Primary School at grade 5. So I left one primary school to the other due to family problems. And when I started in Sitlopong Primary School, I had just moved from my first family home to the second family home, so to speak, just for you to have a perspective of what I'm talking about. And I did 2 grades and I completed my primary education. So I did grade 5 and 6 in Stockholm Primary School. Then I went to high school. High school I started standard 6, which is grade 8. Yeah, okay. So I did grade 6 and 7 in Stockholm. Then I did grade 8, which is standard 6 in high school. So grade 8, it's standard 6. So standard 6, you add 2, you get grade 8. And then to convert back to standards, you subtract 2, then you go back to standards. So it's 6, 8. Um, in other countries, they still use forms. So grade 8 will be form 1. In other countries, somewhere around Africa, they still use standards, so it will be standard 6. In South Africa, we're no longer using forms and standards, it will be grade 8. So every boy child, I stand to be corrected, but I know 99% of boy children are more interested in science things, science inventions, scientifical area of life. They like to test things, fix things, build small cars that they push around using different materials, wood, wire, um, metal material, and stuff like that. So I was not different to that. And in primary school, mostly it's purely basic education, and you're not more exposed to many other things that most of us would like to be exposed to at the very early age. And as Black people, yes, of course, we get exposed to many other things at the later stage. Um, I started to be exposed to science things, in grade 9, which is standard 7. And that's when I got interested in science. And then I was blown away, and um, I was fascinated by how science can or could do things, and my interest for science started from grade 9, which is standard 7. Uh, when our general science teacher, we called it general science, it was a subject in grade 8 and 9. Our general science teacher was demonstrating the formation of waves in water. So he had a big bowl of water, and then he had I don't know what that thing is called. So he would suck a bit of water and put one drop of water into the bowl. Then we could watch the waves extending out into the bowl, and then we would take some notes and stuff like that. And he had a very fascinating way of explaining the science behind that and the nature behind how all of that happens. And I think we were learning about sound waves and stuff like that in general science. And that's when my love for science started. And I went to grade 9. Oh, my high school name was, I forgot to mention that. My high school name was a school in Mandasuk called Putinari Secondary School. So it's two wild animals combined together to form one name. So Puti, it's what is Puti in English? Puti. It's like a wild buck, like a wild buck. It looks more like a goat, but the structure is built uh, very close to a springbok, if you know what a springbok is. So it's not a springbok. It looks like a springbok. So there's different types and species around that family. So I just don't know specifically what putti is called in English, but it looks like a goat. It has two horns, more like a springbok, but mostly they are gray in color. And Nare is the buffalo. So they combine the two, Puti and Nare, and then that is the name of the school, Puti Nare Secondary School. So the school is located in Mandarsuk. That's where I completed my secondary school or high school. And that's where I did most of my science projects. I participated in many other science Olympiad competitions as well. So this is what happened. When I got to grade 10, which is standard 8, Form 3, standard 8, grade 10, we got a new science teacher. He was a young guy, very young guy. He had just perhaps completed his teacher's degree and then or diploma, and then he came to start teaching us. And then he had all these ideas about science. And fortunately, at our school we had a laboratory. So in the laboratory we had all kinds of apparatus, equipment, chemicals you can think of, periodic tables in different forms and formats, and we had all those kind of things. And then I've never, since I started at my high school, I've never seen anyone using those things. Our young science teacher came. He was also fascinated that our school was equipped with such resources. And then we started to interact with science like in real life, in real time, And then he introduced us to the laboratory, and then we got to understand the things that we only saw in the lab without being allowed access into the lab, and how to use such things like the microscopes, how to read the periodic table, what it means, and stuff like that. So this new teacher brought about a new wave of how many of us as learners understood science and took interest in science. He introduced us, or some of the learners who were interested in participating in things like science fair. Science fair is like it's a competition where learners from different schools in the region build and design innovative solutions or projects, and then we go and compete. And then the winners, or they announce the winners after being judged through the whole process and all the requirements there was about a particular science fair that was taking place for that particular year. And I was one of those learners. And let me tell you, we were not many who were interested in taking part or participating in such science fair competitions. And I think we were a handful, man. We were not many. And I was one of those learners, and I took part in the science fair competitions from grade 10, which I continued in grade 11 and 12. So he also introduced science Olympiad competitions, which were competitions which were taking place for quite some time. And because none of our previous science teachers were able to relate or share this information with us, we did not know that such things exist. And he introduced that to us, and I also took part in that. I took interest in it. So I participated in Maths Olympiad. I think I got position 56 in our region. Region, it's a combination of local schools. I don't know how many schools were there, but I got position 56. I still remember. I participated in Science Olympiad. I don't remember the position I got, but I still got the certificate. I even added this on my CV. So if you go through my CV, you will see that I took part in Science and Maths Olympiad in my high school days. And most interestingly, as I was taking part in the science fair competition. Science fair, remember, is the one where we designed and build solutions and little projects, science projects and stuff like that. Um, I found myself one day being the only one left in the entire school, being the only one left as a participant in the entire school. And and that's when I realized that there's something in me that I need to nurture and develop, and grow with it and run with it. And he even motivated me to not give up and to not lose focus as well, keep on going. Um, um, I think he could pick up that because I was still young. I think I was 16. Yeah, I was 16, 15, 16 in grade 10. Um, I think you could see that this boy is going to have some kind of a peer pressure to give up and leave this whole thing. And he was also holding on to it as a young teacher who came in and um, brought in this vibrant interest in science from these learners who given up in those type of stories that I used to watch these local Kasi dramas or township dramas where a new teacher is brought to a school and he found a class or a group of learners who have given up in learning and they're just corrupt, they're just out of line, and this new teacher will bring in some new vibes and he will bring about some choir competitions, some poetry, some those kind of drama that we normally watch in South Africa. I also saw in Botswana they had a drama like that, but it was not more about. It was more about the one in Botswana was more about awareness for I forgot the name of that drama. It's more it's it has recently played, man, on 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 Zanzi Magic channels. It was called something like Gela or something. So it was more awareness for the learners to be aware of corrupt teachers. So we had in South Africa we had a lot of dramas where a lot of storyline was about teachers, young teachers who came to a school and brought us that vibrant energy to the learners who have given up. So that was the same energy the young teacher brought to the new grade 10 learners who have given up from the negative attitude that we got from our previous standard, which was standard 7, where we found a lot of older guys who failed the standard more than 3 times. And during that time, you could repeat a standard more than 10 times. They did not care. And this guy brought about that energy. So he was worried that I might lose hope and go back to join the rest of the guys who have given up and left me and the only one in the entire school to participate in the science fair competitions. And I held on, and then I continued. Grade 9, grade 11, he encouraged me to recruit some of my friends to start bringing about some more, energy into it, such that I don't participate solely alone in the entire school. I was able to recruit a few of my friends, and we participated. Some of them designed little science projects here and there and stuff like that. And then there was some interest from some of the learners, and then we brought about that vibe. So, but this is what I've built, which stood out the entire school. In grade 11, I built a pet feeder machine. The 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 memo was for learners for the science fair for that particular year. The learners should build an innovative solution or an innovative idea or anything that they can think of, science related, technology related, um, using recycled material like old cardboard boxes, old buckets, old whatever that you can use to recycle and build whatever that you would have thought of as an idea. And then I came up with an idea to build a pet feeder because I had dogs. I love dogs. I still love them even today. I still have dogs even today. So I I built a pet feeder because um, the problem that I was trying to solve was the fact that because we had a memo that you build a solution, you build something that you could actually end up selling to people out there. Though we were not business minded, we were more like science students or learners, so we did not have that business mind. Build something that you could actually sell to people out there. And then I realized that I have a problem at home. When we were away for some days, maybe we went out or we went away for maybe during school holidays, there's no one at home. That day, those 2 days, 3 days, there wouldn't be anyone who would be able to feed the dogs when we were away. And the dogs will go for a day, 2 or 3 without food or without being fed. And I thought of an idea to build a feeder or a pet feeder that will automatically operate itself and be able to feed the dogs. So I use cardboard boxes recycled. I recycled buckets, plastic buckets. I recycled any other thing that I could use, old thing that I could use to build that thing. So it was a big plant, a size of what can I use as a standard size? It was a size of a normal boot of a normal sedan. A boot where you put the luggage in a normal sedan. You see how big that size is. It was the size of that. So it had a flat surface where I built all the components. From a distance, when you look at it, you would actually see a plant where things were taking place, but I could be able to carry it because it was made of, the surface was a board, a wooden board, and then cardboard boxes, wires, and old buckets. So this pet feeder was automated. It was able to operate itself. Um, it, it, it did not use, it did not require a human intervention to operate. So I would set it up, plug it, and leave it there. And it will operate itself, time itself. When I think I had timed it for 4 hours. So every 4 hours, the pet feeder would ring a bell. The bell will go off. Brrr. As the bell goes off, the dogs will stand up because dogs are animals that can be easily trained. So dogs would stand up and get used to seeing a drawer coming out of the feeder with food, mostly dog more or dog food. So I would put dry dog food in sort of a chute, and then when the bell rings, they know that a drawer is going to come out with food, and then they come and eat. And then that thing would time itself as well again as they eat, because dog eat faster. So as they eat, excuse me, the drawer will retract after 5 minutes or so. So the drawer will retract and close back with the feed. So the chute will always have feed, and the drawer will come out every 4 hours and then go back again. Every 4 hours and go back again. 4 hours, go back again until the feed in the chute is finished. Otherwise, if you feed the dogs, you fill up the chute with feed and leave it there, they will eat all the food in one day. Then the next 3 days they will starve. You understand? So there is no way, far as I tried, that you can feed the dogs with a chute with a little hole at the bottom where they eat as the feed drops down, they eat and feel now we full, then they relax or sleep and wake up and leave the feed and just pass it around. No, they will eat and finish. Once they finish, then you have a problem for the next 2-3 days of the whole week. Now, I've designed that, and then it was able to do the job. And it was one of the most amazing innovation that I've ever built. And it participated at the area level, so it's schools in the area, few schools in the secondary schools in the area. I took position 1, and then we went second level. Second, it's schools in the second, so it's different areas combined. I took number 1, and then we went region, so it's area, second, and region. So we went regional. It's schools in the region. So we were in the Bohlabela region. Bohlabela region is like northern region. So it's schools, all secondary schools in the northern region, all the innovators. And then this is me in grade 11, standard 9. And then I took number 1. And then I think that year, the judges were 4. So we got 4 judges. They come, they ask you questions, they score you, they ask you what this does on this thing that you built, the function, the functionalities, and then I took number 1 regionally, then we went provincial. Provincial now, it's all secondary schools in the province. All secondary schools in the province, we went to Polokwane. So we had schools from Venda region, Central region, Waterberg region, all regions in the province. Let me tell you, there was white schools there. And let me tell you what white schools does. They did not follow the memo, right? The white learners, they came in blazers, those intimidating blazers, with black learners going to those white schools, and then same blazers, and then I was in my white shirt, black trousers, simple like that, my toughies, black shoes as a grade 11 learner, and then I was intimidated by these white learners and black learners coming from these different multiracial schools from reputable towns, and I'm just a boy from the village. And I'm thinking, I took number 1 in 3 rounds, and this is my 4th round. There's no way I'm gonna get this one. Hey, those guys, they brought the real stuff. Like, they brought the microscope from the lab. They're going to demonstrate particular illustrations on scientific tests and what do they call this thing? Chemical reactions of things. When they put oil into this, it reacts like that, and then they use microscope then they had all these charts where they're writing notes and everything, they're proving formulas, and they're manipulating formulas, and I was sitting there with a board, plant boxes, and my things are running there. I had two buckets, one on top, one at the bottom. I put water in this one, and then I adjusted the water to drop into this one. So every drop that dropped into this bucket was a minute. So I adjusted it to drop every not a minute, a second rather. Every second I would have a drop. So I would be able to count how many seconds, how many drops do I get in a minute. Then I'll be able to calculate the volume of the water that will fill up the bucket. And then I had foam sponges in the bucket. And as the water level rises, the foam will go up, and then it contacts some copper contacts, and then it switches on the drawer to come out and feed the dogs. And as the dogs are feeding, I have another small bucket at the back, which is a timer. Once the drawer comes out, the water starts dropping into the small one, and then it drops for the amount of water that counts to 5 minutes. And then as it reaches, the foam reaches the level, and then it switches back the drawer, and then it closes. The process recycles and replays itself over and over. Now, these guys have brought multimeters. They are doing real stuff, They're testing batteries and then charges, and the motors are turning. They have real stuff, and their teachers are there and then guiding them. And my teacher was sitting there, and I was like, hey, do you think we're going to make it here, Mren? And then I was like, yeah, we'll see. Then the judges came, and the English as well. Remember, I'm from a village school. So I only learned English recently, like a few years ago. So the judges comes to me, and then they ask me questions, and then I presented like you have to do a thorough presentation. It's like your pitch. So I started doing these pitch things from grade 11, guys. And then you pitch your project. You present your project. And then they ask you economic questions. How much would you sell these to your customers? Then I did not have those questions in all the 3 rounds that I had. Then I was like thumb sucking things like, I would sell this one for 150. 150? Are you sure? That's expensive. And that was a long time ago in 2000, year 2000. Year 2000. So they asked me so many tricky questions that I could not answer. And then I could feel in my intuition that, nah, I'm not making it here. And then every time they go judge those multiracial groups, and those guys, they work in groups. Now I was just alone. Every time they go judge those groups, I would go and watch and listen, and I was fascinated by how these guys are building. And then there was this group of multiracial learners as well. They had blue blazers, and then they have built a power station with substations, and then the substations were real, and then they used little pylons and towers there. Then as they connect, and then the power was flowing, and then there was bulb coming on the other side. Then they put some little street lights, and I was like, sure. No, here, things are. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I've started these things from a very early age. When I was 15, 16, and then my first project that I built was a pet feeder, which I presented in all those rounds from provincial, regional, circuit level, and area level. And then I got those positions that I got. And then at the end of the provincial announcements of the winners, I did not make it. They did not announce my name. And then that was the end of it. And then when I went into matric, I was told to we first few months we worked on the project a little bit here and there, but I was told to now focus on my books because it's a critical year of the 5 years. And then we put the project on hold, and then it was just there in the laboratory, like in a museum. All students would be called to come and see what AJ has built, and then the project has participated in so many competitions or levels of the competitions, and then it was able to go through. And then that was the last time I saw my project. When I left my high school, I left it at school. I don't know what happened to the project. Last time I visited the school, I did not get an opportunity to go see what is in the lab because it was during the weekend. There was a function for older students to reunite and stuff like that. So I don't know if my project is still there in Putinara High School. Those who are still going to Putinara High School and they happen to bump into this video, please confirm if you can still see a project called a pet feeder in your laboratory that was built by me during my time at the high school. So I'll see you again, guys, in the next video. Thank you very much. Please subscribe, like, comment, more especially comments, because I would like to get to interact with you through the comments and see what you guys are doing, what you guys are building. And then until we meet again in the next video. Ciao.